although it's not life-threatening, it's definitely life-changing for many people. And that's why we feel that fibromyalgia there isn't a lot known about it. It is an invisible illness. You wouldn't know somebody's having severe pain unless they have pain written across their face, unless you see them walking stiffly or they look like they're in pain when they're walking. So I think it's very difficult because there are a lot of other illnesses out there where obviously people are in pain. But I think with fibro, because there's lots of other parts to the condition, that's what makes it complex and difficult to understand. I was diagnosed just before I set up the support group. I didn't know anybody else that had the condition, and I thought, well, I need to know how this condition's going to affect me. I think one of the questions that I asked the specialist that diagnosed me was, well, okay, you've told me what I've got, but does that mean I'm going to live a shorter life? How is it going to affect me? How's it going to affect my young family? And I went home and did lots of research, and I thought, oh, right, okay, it's complex. With that, how am I going to live my life? And I think in order to cope with the condition, I did have to make some life changes. I was doing a job which I found difficult to maintain, and I was working, coming home, going to bed, getting up, cooking tea, going to bed. And my husband said, this isn't a quality of life. You're not seeing anybody else. You're not doing anything else. You need to look at your job. And I said, oh, no, I don't want to give my job up. I don't want. But you need to. For your own sanity, you need to. So I did think long and hard about it. It wasn't a job where I could reduce my hours. It wasn't a job where I could go to my employer and say, I can't actually do this role. Can you give me a different role to do? So I had to give up. And with that came a sense of failure, I suppose, in that I can't do what I wanted to do. And I found applying for jobs, the minute you were honest and put down you have fibromyalgia, the minute you don't hear back from them, I found that a bit difficult because I don't know where they made the assumptions that I wasn't employable, but they obviously felt that I couldn't do the role. And so I've done some bank work. I literally get paid for what I do. It's worked well. I'm hoping it's going to become a more permanent contract. That's my hope that I've proved myself over the last couple of years that I am employable, as long as I don't do too many hours. And I think that's what I've understood. I do part-time. I think that's the best way of explaining it. And it works because the days I work, I don't do too much before I go to work. And the days I have off, I can enjoy those. To understand is to know what the symptoms are and how it affects me. So sometimes when I'm talking, I'll forget things. I'll forget somebody's name. I'll forget what I was about to say, and not making fun of me, and just allowing me time to try to find what I was going to say. I think in the early days, people used to joke and say, oh, Mum's forgotten again. And then they've learnt that actually I'm not putting it on. I haven't actually got dementia. I have a problem with my cognitive function, because fibromyalgia can affect your cognitive functioning. And trying to make me not feel silly. I'm still young. I want to be as clever as I was before, but sometimes I do struggle. When you ask somebody how they are, listen for the answer. Don't just make it it's almost like it's a greeting, how are you today? And then you walk away, because sometimes people with fibromyalgia, they just think, oh, I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to explain that I'm having a bad day, because they're not going to want to hear that. So quite often, if you ask somebody with a condition like fibromyalgia, they'll say, oh, okay. But if you're a true friend, I think you'd say, but no, really, how are you feeling today? Are you having a good day? How's this week been? And that, to me, means a lot. What I hope this type of video will prove is that people with fibromyalgia can be from the age of 16 or younger, right up to 80, and in between. And to stop and ask people how they are, but really mean it. and to listen, and then maybe ask how you can possibly help. Because there's sometimes I think to myself, oh, if only they'd offered to help me with that, that would have been great. And it might only take a few minutes of their time, but it would mean a lot to me.
Fibromyalgia in itself for me is the pain. You can get the pain in the muscles as well as nerve pain in most of the joints of the body. And when it is pretty bad, there's nothing I can do except lie down. And I've sort of been able to condition myself that when the pain is bad, I literally lie on a bed and I shut down. And usually I can lay on the bed for about an hour and it sort of recharges me and enables me to get on and do a little bit more. But that's all you can do. You can actually do a bit, then rest, and then carry on and try and do a bit more. And you do it that way. I mean, I look after my wife at home, so therefore, I've got to think of her more than I think about myself. You can change within a matter of half an hour from feeling fine in one respect to the next minute to being pain or just joint problems. Hot flushes. Terrible hot flushes. I always thought women had that, but I mean, I found otherwise. But no, I've got so used to it now, to be quite honest. You just take it as it is. When I was having a really bad day, I've known to literally stand with my hands against the wall and literally hitting the wall with my head because the pain was so bad. But people used to just ignore it, and they just let me carry on and do my thing, and that was a good side, because you feel you're so embarrassed at the time of what's happening, and yet there's nothing you can do about it. And the more people can just let you carry on and do it your way, then the better you feel. I mean, I socialise very little. I used to socialise quite a lot. I used to be quite athletic. But from the age of 58, which is when this occasion happened, in fact it was on the 18th of January 2001, my social side of life is really severely curtailed, because you can't guarantee how you're going to feel. As far as evenings go, then I just write them off, because I can be totally exhausted by 8 o'clock in the evening, or even before. So, you just take life as it comes, really, and you live with what you've got and you carry on. But there's not much else one can do about it. You can't exercise too much, because if you start doing any form of exercise, you find that it affects your joints, it affects your muscles and pain, so therefore you give it up. It's hard to really explain it, but no, it just doesn't work. As far as my family is concerned, obviously they were very concerned for me. They could see what I was going through, and but at the same time they also knew there was nothing they could do about it. So I was quite happy just to be accepted, to left to do what I could. And that way I was quite happy. But you do feel pretty inadequate at times, and you don't talk about it so much, because nobody really wants to know how bad you are, because nobody wants to talk about it. So you ignore it, basically. And I just got on the understanding that every day is a new day, and I start a fresh day every morning. And sometimes it's like last night, I didn't sleep at all. So I've slept about 1 hour since the night before last. But that's not. It can be hard for people to understand what you've got, because the simple reason people look at you and there's nothing wrong with you, as far as they're concerned. How do you get people to understand that you feel absolutely lethargic and painful and aching muscles, it doesn't show. And yet, I don't know, how can you get people to understand that? It's a very difficult thing. Most people with our condition tend to shut away and to say, like me, I'll go and lie on the bed and recharge myself that way to be able to carry on and do things. And you just make do.
Right, my name's Sam Sindel. I've got fibromyalgia, as well as a list of other things. I've had it since I was 4, so I don't know what life is like without pain. It can be depressing, tiring, very painful. With the condition of fibromyalgia, I also suffer with insomnia, vertigo, anxiety, which I'm suffering with a bit now. You worry a lot all the time. I suppose that's part of the anxiety. You also suffer a lot of depression. You feel isolated, very isolated, because people don't understand the illness. When someone was in pain and they'd say, they say to me, yeah, but I know you're in pain, but you've suffered with it all your life, so you're used to it. Like, you can't get used to pain. That's not something you can get used to, especially when, different days there's different pains. You might be fine in the morning, and you'll collapse at lunchtime. It always changes. And people say to me on a Monday, I'm going out Friday night, do you want to come with me? And I'll be like, it depends what I'm like Friday afternoon. So you can't make plans, for the rest of the week. I can't, if I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling I'm not sure, I can't make plans for the afternoon because I don't know if I'm going to be sent back to bed. My pain is all over my body. There's not one part of my body that doesn't hurt at any one time. I can wake up one day and my back is in absolute agony and I've got pain in my legs, but not as much. We range the pain from 0 to no pain at all, up to 10, which is, I'm in agony, please shoot me. And then mine is at a 5 or 6 permanently. And when it gets above a 9, that's when I pass out or can't cope anymore. So I go from a walking stick when I'm on a 5. When I get to an 8, I got my Zimmer frame with 3 wheels. And then when it's at a 9, I'm in the wheelchair. When I've gone out with my walking stick and people have seen me with my stick, they don't make any comments or anything, but next time they see me, if I'm in the wheelchair, it's like, hang on a minute, you were walking the other day, why are you in a wheelchair now? And I just say to them, I could be on a Zimmer frame tomorrow, or I could be back on the walking stick, or it depends really on how you are when you wake up. But people can be very judgmental. They tend to judge first and don't actually ask questions. If they asked more, then they might understand it more. When you get really foggy, you walk all over the place, you lose your balance, you fall over, you slur your words, and then when the anxiety kicks in, you look like you're paralytic, you slur, you can barely speak, you can't get eye contact, so you fall over a lot, and you basically look like you're drunk. So there's a few people that think I'm an alcoholic, but I've been teetotal for about 8 years, so I don't drink. Ask questions. If they don't understand, ask. Don't be quick to judge. We are human. We are approachable. We honestly do not mind if people stop us in the street and ask us, what are you suffering with? Rather than make judgments.